Hey, welcome to another Valley Forged. Finally, I'm doing a full review on my Monport 55 watt desktop CO2 laser. Now, in the last video, I went over why you would get a CO2 or a diode laser. And I would highly suggest you watch that if you are thinking about getting either one. This video is going to be rather longer because I'm going to go over everything. It's almost everything. And so if you just bought one of these or if you're thinking about it, I'm going to go in depth about my experience here and what it can do, yada, yada, yada. And I'm also, at the end of this video, going to leave how you clean the lens, as I did with another video, because I think it's very important. Now, this is my main machine. This is what I'm using to do just about everything I'm doing. And it took me, what, hour or two to make all of these, and so I can verify. These are mostly cork chains, but I have some earrings and things in here, yin yang kitties. That will be probably my next, probably loud. That will probably be my next video. I have a full collection of corgis and yin yang kitties in everything. And I make that whole collection and they all sell super, super well. I mean, it is a great business. And so I'll put together that collection for you. It's taken a lot of work to make it perfect so that everybody can do it, but it will be extremely profitable. And that's one of the reasons I got this. I needed to make tons of acrylic, both the lamps, the keychains, the earrings, the everything. And I just couldn't do it with a diode laser. I needed to do, you can do acrylic. I've done many videos on that. Acrylic with a diode laser. Look up my videos. Lots of stuff you can do. Lots of really good stuff. But as far as doing transparent or clear acrylic, I needed a CO2 laser. And frankly, I still wanted to work in on my same table. Everything the same, just putting a CO2 laser up. So that kind of limited me to a desktop CO2 laser. Now, if you have a big garage or something, in the other video I just did, that might be a better way to go for you. Because this isn't, and I don't know if I would suggest this for your first laser, unless you've worked with 3D printers or something, where you're used to being able to fix things and do things on your own. But once you get it to the perfect spot, like I have now, it is just a workhorse. This thing is just amazing. And I fiddle with it just because I want to, because I want to show you guys new and fun things that you can do with this laser and the upgrades that you can make. I don't have to do another thing, though. I could just let it go just like it is, and it could make me tens of thousands of dollars. And I would be perfectly happy. I mean, I could make pretty much everything for the rest of the year in a month and, and then just work on sales if I wanted to. But of course, I want to create new stuff. But certainly what I've made so far within this month will pay for the machine without a doubt. So if you are thinking about getting this machine, Monport has given me a 16% discount code. It's the Valley 10, but at my link below, and then you use Valley 10, 16% until August 23rd. And then whatever other deal after that I can put down there, just look below. I'll put it in the top comment so that you'll know what to do, right? And you can get that for any Monport machine. It doesn't have to be the ONYX. If you want to buy a desktop or a bigger CO2 laser, they're coming with a lot of free stuff right now. I just had one of my viewers buy a whole bunch of stuff, and it came with a free chiller and all that kind of, it was cool. So I'm not going to go into that, but I just want to let you know, 16% off right now. Use my code. Now let's be real. This machine, with my discount, you're going to get it for probably less than $2,000, right? That's not all you're going to spend. I am going to be really, really upfront with everybody, and especially you, those of you who have already bought this machine. If you haven't got it yet, please watch this video, all of it, from beginning to end, so that you understand all of the common things that you're going to need to look at, the first things you're going to want to do. I said it's going to be a longer video, so don't rush me. Sorry. This is just one of those things where it's going to take some time, but I'm going to cover a lot of stuff. So last housekeeping thing I'll say, like, subscribe, of course, all that stuff, especially if you're thinking about these lasers. Obviously, I cover pretty much everything lasers and starting a business with your laser. Now, as far as I know, this is the least expensive CO2 laser that you could get other than a K40, which I absolutely would not recommend. I mean, Monport even sells a K40. You probably get it really cheap. I just wouldn't recommend it. I have a very extensive use of K40. I've fully upgraded one. The bed size cannot be upgraded. It's too small, in my opinion, to run a business or to even really have fun with. And a lot of the things are just too cheaply made. It's just not a good deal. I think this is the cheapest CO2 laser on the market right now that you can really do just about everything with. Now, yes, there are other CO2, desktop CO2 lasers, the P2, the Glowforge, GWiki, and the Polar. All of them are great for different reasons. Obviously, the P2 is pretty expensive. You're going to want to use their software more likely than you're going to want to use Lightburn. So that's kind of a no for me. Not only that, plus the cost. I know it can have all these accessories and different things, but most of them are useless to me. And if you really look into them, most of them aren't that useful. But I'm not saying it's not a great machine. And I would like to do a comparison between the two. I'm going to work on that. But there are definitely reasons to have either. But I could have either one. And I chose to have this one. I picked this laser. They didn't pick me. I picked them. Partially because of the autofocus. It is so freaking good. But I'll get into that. Glowforge, obviously, so many things, reasons I would not have a Glowforge. Great machines, really great for business. I know lots of people who make a living using a Glowforge, but the fact you have to be online, you have to use their software. There's so many reasons I'm not going to go into right now, but obviously cost is a huge one. The GWI or GWiki Cloud, the Polar, they just got fundamental issues that I wasn't really willing to deal with. The Polar, probably better. I actually, before I looked at this, I was looking at the Polar and doing the exact upgrades that I decided to do. But I just feel like this was better. And I'm 100% right that the autofocus is so absolutely awesome in this laser. It is hard for me to believe that it was true. In fact, I didn't believe it was true. I was ready to replace the nozzle on this laser because I've used autofocus in so many machines and it's really let me down. I just don't even use it. Well, if you upgrade the machine the way that I have, you are going to love the autofocus. You're going to love it anyways because you can do it right at Lightburn. You just hit one button, Z focus, and it actually goes down to the wood and actually comes back up. You don't have to input anything like you do with the other lasers. You know, with the Polar or the GWiki Cloud, you have to, you know, actually input stuff to make it work. The thickness of the wood, or you have to measure in some of them. I didn't want to do that. I don't want to deal with that. I would rather manually focus than have to input whatever the thickness of the wood is. So I was prepared to do that. But again, the autofocus is really, really good. You can adjust for those of you that have the machine, you can adjust the height of that autofocus. Just go to the machine settings and then just look down and you will see the autofocus height. Now, I'm going to already get to one of the real negatives about this machine. It probably will not come to you perfect. That's just the way that it is. The people that put this together, there is one person probably in particular that is an absolute moron, and I'm talking to you. The person who put the lenses upside down at the factory. I'm sure that they're probably already been repurposed or put in a different place. I don't want any harm to come to them, but they certainly really cost the company a lot of money. And I'm sure that for some of you that will already be fixed. But for my machine, the first time I used it, before checking the lens, because I didn't know how to clean the lens. There was no instructions on how to do that for the autofocus one. There's plenty of instructions for the old model, maybe for the Polar, which you can kind of interact if you've watched all the Polar videos, and the Monport videos. You know how to do most everything with the machine, but cleaning that lens, which is so important, wasn't part of any of those. So I think the first official video to have how to clean that lens. But I'm going to say right away, the very first thing you do before you turn it on is you're going to go and make sure that lens, the the curved part should be on the top. And for anybody out there who's going to tell you it doesn't matter, well, they're lying. Why do you think one side is curved? So from the factory, a lot of them came with the curved side on the bottom, which would make sense if I was going to be intuitive without thinking too much about it. And I was like, oh, the curved side would go on the bottom. But that is absolutely not the case. And within 1 hour of use, I had burned a big hole in my lens. And at the time, I didn't know how to clean it or check it. So that was a big problem, probably the biggest problem with buying this laser. But now you can solve it. Now you don't have to destroy your lens. It's very easy, and you're going to need to know it anyway, because you're going to need to know how to clean it. Positive, this lens doesn't get dirty very fast. And the only thing that gets dirty is the bottom part, which you really don't have to take too much apart to get to. So in the video you see where he's cleaning it, he takes the whole lens out and cleans it. Most of the time that's not going to be necessary. You're just going to take out the little part that has the lens on, and you can see the lens on the bottom, and you just clean off the bottom. The top part of the lens is probably not going to get dirty very often. You should be able to see if it's getting dirty. And again, it doesn't get dirty very often. The way that they have made this autofocus unit lens here, it has a little cover over it that keeps the dirt from getting on the top of the lens. It's brilliant. And it's really such a huge upgrade from all of the other ones. Even the upgraded lenses that you can buy for the Polar, the GWE, or all of these, the lens itself is still open to the air, and you're going to get, the smoke is going to get on it. Well, that's not going to happen with this, and it's just so much better. It doesn't get dirty very often. About every couple of days of work, I'm finding that I need to clean it. I noticed that the cutting isn't quite as powerful anymore, but I haven't had any burn marks. I haven't had any issues. It has worked flawlessly as far as the lens goes. Once I just flipped it upside down. So when you get it, first thing you're going to do, you've watched the end of my video, you see the lens, you take it apart, you make sure that the curved part is up. You put it back in, and then you are good to go. Now, there are some other upgrades that I have done that I highly, highly, highly recommend. As a matter of fact, I personally wouldn't buy this laser without the upgrades, and they're not that expensive. The Ruida controller. That is such a blessing. You can focus manually from the Ruida controller. It wasn't that hard to plug in. There's a video. If you watch I think it was my first video, it has a link to the guy who shows you how to install that in a Monport Polar, or sorry, In a OMTech Polar, it's the same basic thing, and it's actually easier, way easier on the Monport. And once you get that put in, it's just going to make so many things easier because you can run the entire machine from the machine. I don't have to use Lightburn. I don't have to do anything. I can run all of everything from there if I want to. So I can just upload all of my files to the machine. The ones that I usually print out, they're there. They can run in the background. It's just fine. Or I can do everything from Lightburn, the same. Nothing changes other than things get way better. It'll also give you error codes so that you can understand maybe what's wrong if something goes wrong. Nothing has gone wrong for me. I have yet to get an error code, but if it did, at least I can read out what it is where you couldn't without it. So I would say if you're going to get this, just go ahead and order. You know, when this is on its way, of course, go ahead and order the Ruida controller. Get that out of the way. I put an upgraded air assist. I think it is a no-brainer. I just think it's air assist is so important. And the little one that comes with it, I think is just not sufficient. It's going to be less of a fire hazard because it's just, you know, give you a lot more air. It's going to cut better. For me, just everything was better upgrading the air assist. So I got a cheap one off Amazon. You know, I think I listed that in my first video as well. So you can check that out. And I show you how I put in the air assist and how I put in the, or I showed you my Ruida controller and everything I did there. So I'm not going to go over that again. This video is going to be long enough. But things that I absolutely would get. Now the light, you see, there's no light coming from the front. Well, I don't have it on anyway, but if I did, the light that shows Monport, I'm sure they would want that to really show, but it was so bright. It was ridiculous. Now, if you unscrew there's some bolts on there. If you unscrew them, you can just flip that whole LED cluster upside down and then put the bolts back on. And you're going to get much more light inside your case, which is what I did. And I think it's wonderful, and it solves two problems. Although the light that they put in the machine is wonderful. It's one of the better lighting setups that I've seen in a laser. Well, why not get more? More light is always nice. I also adjusted, there's some little bolts underneath where on the sides where you can lift up the case. So I unplugged the start button because I never use it because I have the Ruida controller. And I used that to put my Ruida controller on that hole. But the two panels, I take them off quite often. To clean, to put in the air assist, to check things. There's a lot of reasons why you to refill the fluid, you know, if you needed to. Just a lot of reasons to adjust things. So I made it to where it's easy to take them on and off. Easy thing to do, adjusted. Other thing I did is replaced my fan in the back. Now this, I don't recommend for everybody right away. Just use your machine, enjoy it. I took out the rear fan there, and I also put in a 6-inch inline fan, and it is wonderful. Like, there's no smoke in my... It's important for me. I don't want any smoke in here, and so I was willing to go the next step, and so I put an inline 6, and I will suggest you want the fan to be at the place or outside. Okay. If you can get it outside, that's even better, but at least right where it vents to the outside, you want your fan to be there, because if it's right where the machine is, it's pushing the air out. So any holes that are in that hose going to the outside, you're going to get smoke out of it. But if it's sucking the air from, say, your window all the way to the machine, it's not going to do that. And if you can think about it, blowing versus sucking, pun it, yeah, whatever. How that's going to make a difference, it really does. So just a little tip from me. Put your exhaust where it actually exhausts out. And I will put a link below for the exhaust fan that I'm using. It's very cheap, very good. I'm super happy with it. And it certainly does suck. So getting on with the testing. Another tip that I will give to people who maybe already have this machine, with a CO2 laser, you don't run it at 100% power. Now with a diode laser, I have no trouble running 100% power. I have done it on every diode machine I've had. Never had any issues. Never lost any power. With a CO2 laser, you're supposed to run it at 17 to 20, what is it, milliwatts? And you're not going to know what that is. But for this particular machine, I wouldn't run it above 60% power if you want to keep your longevity of your tube. I don't really see a huge difference in cutting when I go above that anyway, maybe to 70%. So 60% power, and then you could run any speed. I suggest running 300, I guess 5 or 6 is what they call it, millimeters per second. I run millimeters per minute because I'm used to it with diode. Plus, I want my audience to be able to see the differences, right, between a diode and a CO2. So I'm going to continue using the millimeters per minute right now. And so I'm running about no slower than 260 millimeters per minute, just because I believe that you get better cuts and less fire hazard if you don't go under that. Now, if you don't have good air assist, I wouldn't go under 300 millimeters per minute, which I believe is a 6 millimeters per second. And that's just the way I would run it. I would run multiple passes if you need to, 60% power, 6 millimeters per minute, 300 millimeters per second. I wouldn't run below that unless you have good air. And even then, I don't go below 260 millimeters per minute. So here I will put up pictures of my cut tests. Now, everybody should do their cut tests. I'm not going to say I get pissed off, but it's a little annoying when people are asking you about, what is the setting for this when they haven't tried it themselves or anything. They haven't done a cut test or anything. Settings are on you. You really are missing the boat if you don't want to just at least do some cut tests. I do this all the time. It's a good way to be able to know if your laser's working correctly as well. But at least do a few round holes with, 300 millimeters per minute with 60% power, and then maybe 350, 400, whatever, so that you can at least get an idea of what's cutting well for your own machine on the wood that you're using. So don't rely on other people for that, please. Everything else, I'm happy to try and tell you. But, I got yesterday I got a comment. Somebody bought my Lord's Prayer Cross file, which is an awesome file, and I highly suggest it for everybody with this machine too. But before they really they tried this for their very first project, and they were complaining that it didn't come out right. And I'm just like, wow, I get it. I'm honestly the same way, and I've made so many mistakes that way. But now that I've been doing this for a long time, it's a little more frustrating. I made some files that are basic projects on purpose for people just like you. You're learning Lightburn, you're learning your settings, you do a cut test. The first thing that you do is you make these basic things with engraving and cutting so that you get a feel for your laser and you get to understand it. I'm not saying you have to be perfect at everything before you can make anything. What I am saying is just learn the basics of your machine. Take a deep breath, relax. And, I'm preaching to to myself here because I know I am the same way. When I get a new toy, I want to make super cool things right away. This is not the laser for that. You want to spend some time getting it the way that you want it, and learning how it works and learning how it cuts before you move on. Now with a diode laser, maybe it's a lot less of an issue. But you can look at mine that I posted here and see if you are at least within the ballpark of where I'm at. Now you're using different wood, make sure your thickness is the same. I mean, where you get that is different, it will be different. And MDF is a perfect example. There are way different kinds of MDF, and you may be able to cut one kind of MDF and you can't get through another kind of MDF no matter how many passes. It's just the way that it works. So that's why it's very difficult to tell somebody else what their settings should be. So I mentioned before, focus distance. That's of course important. I raised mine to 7.5, which was perfect for mine. Yours might be different. At the factory, sometimes they come from, mine was 6, which was way too close to the material, and I wasn't getting the maximum out of my laser. So I think around 5 millimeters from the actual board or whatever you're using is right about perfect. So if you can measure 5 millimeters, I have had a 5 millimeter thickness piece of wood, so it was easy for me to put there to check to make sure that it was correct. So 7.5 seemed to be correct for me. I think a lot of them come with at 7. And again, that's in the machine settings under the autofocus distance. And try and pop up a picture of that. So again, I've cut this whole smorgasbord of things that will be in my next video. And these veteran keychains, like on Monday I have a meeting, and the veterans, they were giving out a bunch of stuff made in China. And I was like, why shouldn't, you should be giving away stuff that's made by a veteran. I happen to be a veteran. So that made more sense. And of course they all agreed. And I talked to lots of veterans organizations, and when they go to these different things, they give away stuff, not necessarily markets, but they're out saying, hey, we're veterans helping veterans, and they give away things to the people that come there. And a lot of these places are that way. Guitars for veterans, different things, even the city or the state or whatever for these veterans organizations, they're giving away things, and they could just as easily be made by veterans. They could actually say that. It would be a much better win-win for everybody. And this is oftentimes how you make money as a laser engraver cutter. It's just simple things like that, simple things around you. And I could literally, that could be my only job, making stuff for veterans organizations if I wanted to. I like to be a little bit more creative, but I do some creative stuff for that. But it's fun, it's rewarding, and it's nice that, they're getting stuff local instead of buying stuff from overseas for a veterans organization. You know what I'm saying? Now, what I really, really like about this laser, obviously, the fact that I can do acrylic, the transparent acrylic. It may not seem like a big deal, but when you have a business, there are so many times when doing clear acrylic is just necessary that will just take things to the next level. Obviously, earrings, keychains, things like that are amazing, but also signs. If you want to do even a wood sign, but you want to have some backlighting or something with LEDs, having that clear acrylic, super helpful. I'm not saying it's necessary. As I said in the last video, there's a bazillion things that you could do with a diode laser and with working with wood, leather, etc. And maybe your first year or two, you are never going to run out of things to do, well, ever. And you will get to use light burn, and you will get to know it. You don't need to jump right into this kind of laser. If you want to, great, but realize it's going to be a lot more difficult than getting, say, like that Sculpt Fun laser I mentioned. It's more, but it could also be a lot more rewarding for the right person because you can do upgrades. You can make it your own. It just feels like your machine. And the way that I have this one right now, it just feels like, you know, a part of me now. And we're working together to make money. So it feels like I almost have an employee or something. The fact that I can, you know, still work with this, make the acrylic and do everything. I can do all of my files, everything that I make on Etsy and sell to you guys to help you with diode lasers. I can also make all of that stuff, but now I can add the acrylic as well. I just mentioned the upgradability. That is super cool. The autofocus, amazing. Best autofocus on the market, in my opinion. A true autofocus. Now, some of the other ones will say they're autofocus, but they're really not. If you have to input the thickness of anything or measure anything, that's not autofocus. Autofocus is you hit the button and it's focused. Done. Obviously the price, this is the best price of any laser out there right now for CO2, as far as I know, especially with my 16% off. You know, go through, make sure you're getting all of anything that they're going to offer. Take advantage of all that, but it's a great deal. And again, on any of the Monport machines, I'm enjoying it. It's really fun for me to do the upgrades. A couple of things have been super frustrating. That lens being put upside down from the factory, extremely frustrating. But luckily, the lens wasn't that expensive. They were going to send me a new one, but I just ordered it because I wanted to get to work, obviously. And so you could expect, just please expect a good 3 or 4 days of just getting to know the machine, taking your time. Don't get too crazy and make a mistake. Make it yours. Understand it. Things I don't like. Well, I already mentioned the lens coming in upside down. That obviously was terrible. The fact the focus distance wasn't perfect coming from the factory. Yeah, it's easy to fix, but it should be right. But again, having my videos is going to be super important. In fact, leave a comment below of any troubles that you're having. I am on the Monport Facebook group, which is the perfect place. I would appreciate if you didn't send me DMs or anything like that over questions on how to fix stuff. That's really not my thing. I'm not customer service. But if you ask it in the forum, me or somebody else will help you, and I will likely make a video on it because I want to know what people are having issues with so that I can make videos on that. And I think I have kind of figured out most of the common problems going on. And that would be my last thing that I don't like is the lack of information on this particular model. Now, there was a full series that was done on the last Monport ONYX, but it's very different. It didn't have this cool autofocus as far as I could tell. A lot of the things were in different places. It's a different machine, really. And so there wasn't a lot of resources on, you know, even how to clean the lens. So that was a bit frustrating. But now you have resources. You have the Facebook page. You have me. And I think between all of and several other creators out there, I think you will be able to figure this all out. Now, the camera, I have calibrated the camera and I did get it to work, but then I got tied up into all these other upgrades and things, so I haven't gotten back to it. I haven't really used it much yet. I'm not really so much of a camera person for lasers, but it has one and I want to get to learn it. Plus, I actually have a project where I need the camera to be able to look down and do a print of what I put on the bed. So I will have to get back into the camera soon. If any of you have resources on that, that's going to be one of the things I next tackle. But other than that, I mean, the thing is just cranking stuff out. It is an absolute blast. It's giving me that joy that I have, you know, when you're using lasers and being creative and everything's coming out and you're making money and, you know, everything is just a win-win. And then you're helping other people, right? And there's just a lot to it. And lasers are amazing, and I'm just, you know, they're a good time. But I can't say I wasn't pissed off at it, you know, for those few things that I said about negatives. It's just kind of stupid, to be real. I mean, kind of basics. And so that was kind of a thing. So, okay, now I'm going to put how to clean the lens at the end of this video. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, leave them below. But if you don't be rude, don't be mean. There's no use for that. Just go somewhere else. What we're trying to do is help people with this Monport ONYX, and I think they're calling it the ONYX R now. And if you are having issues or you have real questions on any of the Monport stuff, leave it below and I will try to answer. So that's it for this video. It's plenty long enough. But again, I'll be making more on anything I can figure out. All right. I will see you in the next one. Love y'all.